First of all, let me just thank everyone for being here today, and I do want to apologize for actually us being in this building, but a lot of you may know we had a little bit of an emergency in the 911 building, Mr. Grimillon's office, but that's being hopefully taken care of, and hopefully in the near future we'll be back in that office real soon. But I do appreciate your patience in actually being here this morning. I know it's a little bit crowded, but we would just ask that you would please just be a little bit patient and bear with us on this situation. But we just want to give everybody an update on basically what we've been talking about, our executive policy group this morning, basically on where the storm is and basically what it's going to do. And I would ask that if there's anybody that have any cell phones or pagers, I'd ask that you would please put those devices to silence so that we can conduct our meeting in an orderly fashion and so that we can move this process along pretty quickly. But at this time, I would like to ask for Mr. Roger Erickson to come up and give us an update basically on where the storm is and the path of what it's taken and basically what we can anticipate in the next 24 hours as to what it's going to do. At this time, I'd ask Mr. Roger to come up.
Okay. Well, we're still tracking Tropical Storm Bonnie. Bonnie is right now moving onto the coast, southeast coast of Florida. What we got up on the wall here is showing the forecast track, which is very similar to what we've been looking at for the last 24 hours, which is a tropical storm moving across the Gulf of Mexico and making landfall somewhere in southeast Louisiana early Sunday morning. So there's tropical storm warnings out right now from the Atchafalaya River eastward across the state. In terms of a local impact, there's really several things that we look at. We look at the wind issues, the rainfall issues, storm surge, and tornado threat, and some of those are higher than others. But I think what I was going to show first in terms of some of the forecast uncertainty was the radar picture currently out of Miami. When you're looking at this picture here, you can notice it's a very ill-defined center of circulation associated with Tropical Storm Bonnie. Bonnie, as it shows right now, has it moving onto the coastline south of Miami, Florida right now. A lot of times when these systems are moving over land, especially Florida Peninsula, a lot of times the center of circulation can redevelop in another location. And so that's, from a weather perspective, that's the main question mark we got right now. We can see the low right now moving in south of Miami, but will it redevelop once it gets in the Gulf of Mexico 40 miles, 50 miles further to the south or north? And that's the question mark that we'll have as we track this system through the afternoon hours. It's expected to get into the Gulf of Mexico this afternoon or early evening, and so once we get to that stage of the game, I think the certainty of the forecast track will be a higher confidence associated with it. Now, right now the tides have been running about a foot above normal, and that's been associated with a tropical disturbance down in the Bay of Campeche, and that 1 foot above normal tides is probably going to continue for the next 24 to 36 hours. Once this system approaches southeast Louisiana, if it stays to our east, we'll have northerly winds, and that'll actually push the tides out. So the tide factor will be a problem for maybe the next high tide, which is going to be between midnight and noontime tomorrow, and after that, the tide issue should be a non-factor. The wind perspective, if this forecast verifies with it going into southeast Louisiana, will be on the weaker side of the system. The winds a lot of times can be 20 to 30% less this far away from what the force of the winds are, which is what they're expecting as a tropical storm. So in terms of a gust factor, what we could see Sunday and Monday around here is probably on the order of 20 to 30-mile wind gusts. So probably a few tree limbs blowing down and probably isolated power outages could be an issue for the Sunday, Monday time frame. Tornado threat at this stage of the game is still very minimal. The Storm Prediction Center in Oklahoma has been monitoring this, and they don't have any confidence at this stage of the game to say that we're going to have a large tornado outbreak associated with this. The main threat that we're looking at from this event is going to be the rainfall. And Dick's got a picture here on the wall of the rainfall forecast. This gets the next, up in the top there, the next link to the right. And what they're advertising right now is kind of 3 to 6 inches of rainfall along the path of the tropical storm. So if the path ends up staying to our east, then southeast Louisiana, maybe central Louisiana will have the threat of the 3 to 6 inches of rainfall. Even with a landfall to our east, we're still advertising maybe 1 to 2 inches of rain around here. And the window for that is mainly going to be the Sunday, Monday time frame. So with all being said and done, the forecast right now going off to southeast Louisiana, the question mark is just monitoring what it's doing right now as it tracks across Florida and make sure that it behaves itself as it tracks into the Gulf of Mexico within the next 6 hours. So that's pretty much all the weather information we got. Okay, we'll open up for questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Roger. I appreciate all your help. Good morning, everybody. I'm Brian Beam, Parish Administrator. We'll go through the rest of the agenda in a moment. I want to just mention that the Executive Policy Group met at 10 o'clock this morning prior to this operational briefing. And just as a reminder, that consists of the Police Jury President, Mr. Guidry, all the mayors from Calcasieu Parish, as well as Sheriff Tony Mancuso, and a couple of folks were unavailable today, being out of town, but we had a good group, good meeting, and some of that will come out in just a few minutes when Mr. Grimion gets up for information on the impacts of Bonnie if it were to come here. I mean, as Roger pointed out, we appreciate what Roger does in all these situations. We're very fortunate to have him. Good, accurate weather data is always available, and that's what these officials base their decisions on. So in just a moment, Dick is actually going to take a brief moment to talk about what the state's been doing in regard to Tropical Storm Bonnie. We also, as stated earlier, before hurricane season this year, instead of just coming out and saying what Saffir-Simpson number this might be, of course this right now is a tropical storm, the key is to communicate in terms of what is the impact in water and wind if it were to come here in southwest Louisiana. And Dick is going to show you a graph related to that, and then get into any actions that may be needed based on the storm if it were to come here. So with that, I'll go ahead and introduce Emergency Preparedness Director Dick Grimion.
Thanks, Brian. Of course, the good news is if it holds this current track, we're in pretty good shape. But I will point out that we are still on the left side of the error cone for this storm. As of right now, and as Roger said, it's expected to stay on this track. The Weather Service doesn't see anything that will change that, but we'll have more confidence in that at the 4 o'clock update, and then even more tonight at 10 o'clock. So we want people to stand by. Yesterday when this thing was aimed towards us, there was a prediction of 3 to 4 foot storm surge potential, and I just wanted to show you what that might look like. This is a map of Calcasieu Parish, and of course, there we go. This is a 7 foot storm surge. 4 feet would be a little less than that, but we always want to warn one category higher. If the track changes, this would be the area in Calcasieu Parish that would be affected, primarily for people who would have a storm surge problem if the elevation of the water were to get at whatever that prediction might be. We would make that notification, and we always want to remind people, even with a tropical storm, if a 50-mile-an-hour sustained wind type event comes here, people who live in mobile homes or homes that have damage from a prior event on them may be at risk. So we just, even though it's not coming here, we want people to think about, okay, this gives us something to think about for preparedness. It's predicted to be a busy season this year. It's a good time to check over your plans and think about what we would do if something like this happened. The governor has done an emergency declaration for the state. There are a lot of other issues that they're thinking about at a state level that aren't necessarily related to southwest Louisiana. Primarily the oil spill. Rob, if you could put the projected path back up. The current projected path is going to obviously take this tropical storm right over the area of the oil spill. We have a lot of questions about that. The good news, I think, for southwest Louisiana on that is this storm is going to be traveling fast. The winds that may push any of this towards our area are not probably going to be in the area for that long, where it would have a chance of pushing any significant amount of that this way. That's really undetermined until the storm passes over the area. But there has been a lot of speculation about what happens when a tropical storm passes over the oil spill area. I think we'll know by Saturday what the answer to that question is. As I said, we need people to stand by. We only feel better usually on a storm in the Gulf when it goes ashore. We would like the public to pay attention to the news updates that you'll be getting today at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. If anything changes, we will come back and give further information. As of right now, we don't think any protective action will need to be taken, but we do need people to be vigilant. And This is probably, for this season, probably just the first of several of these events that we'll be dealing with. And I'll be happy to take any questions at this point. Okay. Yes, ma'am. For this event, we will not be operating 24 hours. If that becomes evident tonight that that needs to be done, we will open it, we'll notify everyone. We will tentatively schedule a briefing for 11 tomorrow, tentatively. This is only for planning purposes. We don't anticipate that we'll need one, but we'll plan to have one at 1100 tomorrow at the same place. We'll notify you if we're going to have a briefing, but that would be the time if we do have one, because it'll be after the 10 o'clock update in the morning. Any other questions? Again, we appreciate your patience. This is kind of a trial setup for us, but this will be our home until we get our permanent quarters repaired. So thank you. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Grimion, and thanks to Roger for those weather updates on where we're at right now. And we just want to say to the general public right now, we'll know more at exactly 10 p.m. It's kind of early right now to determine exactly what's going on, but we're going to keep you up to date. An executive policy group have been meeting basically every 2 hours to know exactly what's happening. But just for the general public, just take every precautions that's needed in case it turns and goes a different direction than what it's going right now, that we can make sure that everybody's prepared to do whatever need be. And we, as a governing body, have taken all the precautions and all the measures that's needed, believe me, to make sure that we ensure the safety of the general public in Calcasieu Parish. And at this time, I would ask if there's any other elected officials, mayors, sheriff, anybody who would like to have any comments before we close, I'd ask that you please come forth at this time. If none, we ask that you would just keep posted to what we're doing, and we'll keep you updated on everything as soon as we get it from Roger and the Weather Bureau as to what's going on. And again, we thank you for coming out. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.